The derelict vessel drifted through the outer rim like a ghost, its hull scarred by weapons fire and time. Lieutenant Mason Hale's boarding team moved through the corridors with weapons raised, their helmet lights cutting through the darkness. The ship's registry identified it as Krathven, a warship from the Dominion fleet that had vanished 3 cycles ago. "Sir, life signs detected in the lower hold," Corporal Davies reported, her scanner flickering. Faint, but there. Mason's jaw tightened. Survivors were rare on derelicts this old. Most became tombs. "Lead the way." They descended through twisted metal and frozen corridors until they reached a sealed bulkhead. The doors groaned as they forced them open, revealing a cargo hold that reeked of decay and something else, something acrid that burned Mason's nostrils even through his helmet's filters. In the center of the hold, suspended by massive gravitational shackles, hung Seren Valak. The alien's forearms were stretched outward, each wrist bound by glowing restraints that hummed with malevolent energy. Her chitinous armor, once the proud indigo of Dominion Special Forces, was cracked and dulled. Her segmented body hung limp, and her compound eyes, those multifaceted orbs that could perceive across 17 spectrums, were dimmed to almost nothing. "Holy hell," Davies whispered. Mason approached slowly, his weapon lowered. The shackles weren't just restraints. They were punishment devices designed to keep the prisoner conscious while slowly draining their life force. He'd seen them used once before on a human colony world. The memory made his blood boil. "Seren Valak," he read from the corroded nameplate on her armor. "Dominion Shock Trooper, first cast." He looked up at her face, at the slight movement of her mandibles. She was still breathing. Barely. "Sir, we should leave her," Davies said carefully. "The Dominion isn't exactly friendly. This could be a trap." Mason studied the shackles' control mechanism. "Would you leave anyone like this, Corporal? Human or not?" The question hung in the air. Serene's eyes flickered, focusing on the human standing before her. Through the haze of pain that had been her entire existence for 73 days, she saw something impossible. A human, the weaklings, the newcomers to the galactic stage that the Dominion had dismissed as primitive mammals with delusions of grandeur. But this human wasn't cowering. He was working on her restraints. "Don't," she managed to rasp in broken common. "Boobia trapped." Mason paused, his hands hovering over the control panel. "I know. That's why I'm going slow." He pulled out a bypass kit, crude by Dominion standards but surprisingly sophisticated. His fingers moved with practiced precision, rerouting power flows and neutralizing failsafes. "Why?" Seren asked. The question cost her immensely. "Because nobody deserves this," Mason replied without looking up. "Not even a Dominion soldier. We are enemies. Right now, you're just someone who needs help." The shackles deactivated with a hiss. Serene collapsed, but Mason caught her before she hit the deck. The weight surprised him. She was denser than she looked, her exoskeleton reinforced with biometal. He lowered her gently. "Davies, get a med kit. Now." As the corporal rushed off, Mason examined Seren's wounds. Energy burns covered her carapace. Malnutrition had weakened her structure. But worse were the psychological scars. He could see it in her eyes, the hollowness of someone who'd been broken. "Your crew did this?" he asked quietly. Seren's mandibles clicked in bitter amusement. "A failed mission. Dominion does not tolerate failure. I was example." "An example of what? Cruelty? Discipline?" She tried to sit up but failed. "You waste resources on me, human. I cannot repay." Mason helped her lean against a cargo container, then offered her water from his canteen. She stared at it as if it were poison, then drank desperately. "I'm not looking for repayment," Mason said. "I'm looking to do what's right." Davies returned with the medkit, and Mason began treating Seren's wounds with practiced efficiency. The alien watched him work with growing confusion. In Dominion culture, the weak were discarded. The defeated were abandoned. Yet here was this human, this supposedly inferior being, spending time and resources to save an enemy. "Your species is strange," Seren finally said, her voice stronger now. "We studied you. Humans are violent, territorial, ruled by emotion. You should kill me or leave me." Mason smiled grimly. "Yeah, we're all those things. But we're also stubborn, and we have this weird habit of helping people who need it, even when it doesn't make sense." He secured the last bandage. "Maybe that makes us idiots, or maybe it makes us human. I do not understand. You don't have to. Mason stood and extended his hand. Can you walk? Serene looked at the offered hand for a long moment. In that gesture, she saw something the Dominion had never taught her existed: compassion without expectation of reward, mercy without weakness, strength that came not from domination but from choice. She took his hand with one of her four and he pulled her to her feet. What will you do with me? She asked. Get you to medical, feed you, then probably a lot of boring debriefing. Mason grinned. After that, your choice. We've got a prisoner exchange program with the Dominion, or you can request asylum. Earth's not perfect, but we don't chain people up and leave them to rot. As they made their way back through the derelict ship, Serene found herself reconsidering everything she'd been taught about humans. The Dominion called them weak because they valued individual life, called them naive because they showed mercy, called them inferior because they refused to abandon their principles even when it cost them. But as Lieutenant Mason Hale supported her weight and guided her toward his ship, Serene realized something that would have been heresy in the Dominion. Perhaps humanity's greatest strength wasn't their weapons or their technology. Perhaps it was their stubborn, illogical, beautiful refusal to become monsters in a monstrous universe. Thank you, she whispered. Mason glanced back at her. Don't mention it. Besides, I've got a feeling you've got quite a story to tell, and I've always been a sucker for a good story. Behind them, the derelict ship continued its silent drift through the void, but within it a chain had been broken. Not just the physical shackles that had bound Saran Valak, but the chains of certainty that had bound her mind. And sometimes, Mason thought, that was the most human thing of all. The belief that tomorrow could be better than today, one freed captive at a time.